Well, Rally Italia Sardinia is done for another year. The champagne used just to cool down there. Sebastian Ogier, Ott Tänak and Kalle Rovanperä. That is your 1, 2, 3 for 2025. Yet again, Sebastian Ogier rewrites history. He is now the most winning driver here in Sardinia. What an incredible feat, what an incredible weekend, and what an incredible win. It was almost not to be, but all of a sudden, Sebastian Ogier, as we know him, managed to pull it out of the bag. Just a few harem-scarum moments, but he managed to take the victory. Well, welcome along. I'll be with you with Mike Chen when he gets here for the next 25 minutes or so to just recap what has been a wild, bumpy, rough, up and down and incredible weekend. The sun will continue to blaze into the night, and I can assure you the Toyota celebrations will also continue. Kalle Rovanperä taking the fastest time through the power stage, but the big man, Sebastian Ogier, once again takes the victory here. Now, if you were listening to that stat all through that power stage, he was equal with Sebastian Loeb, 4 wins apiece. He's now got 5, so that is another history book moment for Sebastian Ogier. He might not care about the figures now, but one day I'm sure he's going to like to know that he has rewritten WRC history once again. Well, of course, we've got all of the moments to relive, so let's remind ourselves coming over the stop line and jumping on top of the car with Vincent Londes to celebrate an incredibly tough weekend. Let's listen to him.
Seb, you like to have a nail-biting end in a power stage in Sardinia. What went on in there? What happened?
In the ruts, I just couldn't turn the car, and then I just it was no speed at all, so I didn't try to force it and hit it, so I prefer to stop and reverse. But yeah, not ideal, but enough to win.
Enough to win 5 times now in Sardinia. What is it about this place and Sebastian Ogier?
I don't know. I think it's like other places, you know. It's many places I won many times, so it's just a characteristic of rally I like, where precise driving is required, but also smooth for tire management. Thanks, team. Great turnaround after Portugal in terms of speed and setup, so good job.
Congratulations.
You could say it again. Good job there, Sebastian Ogier. What does this mean for the championship standings? And now it is a very different picture once again as we leave Portugal and head towards Greece. So Albin Evans has 133 points. That's a 19-point difference between Sebastian Ogier and himself. Now, the difference now, Sebastian Ogier sits in second and Kalle Rovanperä drops down to third by 1 point. That's the key there. Kalle Rovanperä, if Sebastian Ogier continues to do a part season, will jump back up into that second spot, no doubt, very shortly. Ott Tänak in fourth, Thierry Neuville in fifth, and Taka in sixth. But Albin Evans leaves here with a 19-point lead. I honestly can't even fathom how it took you that long to get here, because you changed into that.
I was wearing this, actually, I think you'll find, during the power stage. And what a power stage it was. It was so good, wasn't it? And yeah, I still can't get over how Kalle Rovanperä did that. The margins were just so big, and you look at how everybody else left nothing on the shelf, and then Kalle managed to go and find 8 seconds. It's just spectacular,
just
Thierry. And
unbelievable.
But I want to go back and study that and see the difference between Kalle and Thierry.
Just where he found all of that.
Yeah, where he found the time. It was just...
8.1 seconds that separated him and the rest of the pack. Go on.
I was just going to say, like, it was such a tight, twisty, technical stage, and it was just about carrying speed, carrying the momentum, and controlling, in particular, the back of the car, because obviously that determines where the front's pointed, right? And Kalle was just so good at that. But I thought Thierry had that nailed, to be honest, because it looked so clean. And then Calais came along and did this. I mean, we even saw Sebastian Ogier, which I'm sure we'll look at a little bit later on, getting caught out on this stage. But Calais was just superb through there. It was terrifyingly quick. I don't know how he did it.
You know what, it doesn't matter the whys or the hows, he did it, and it was incredibly impressive. And I love the fact that when we leave rally, sort of history, all of these things are marked, and I think that's going to go down as one of those things that we might talk about again.
For sure, because it's just one, there's those key stages. I remember Friday evening in Sweden a few years ago, Thierry Neuville did one of those. It was just mesmerising to watch. This will be one of those same things, but again, just so many variables in the stage, and Calais absolutely nailed it. It was beautiful.
Beautiful. What a perfect way to finish a rally. All right, now I spoke to Jari Matti about Sebastian Ogier and obviously his run through the power stage, and Jari said, well, I did tell him to keep to the right, but I didn't mention the rocks and the ruts.
Yeah, I mean, again, that stage was one of those stages where it was so easy to get caught out, I think, as well. Kiri, there was so many opportunities to get caught out, and we just saw Seb there just over rotating. That was Jari Matti Latvala's response to it all, but just the back of the car over rotating through that left-hander, and Seb couldn't get the car turned in for the right-hander. That's what I mean about controlling the back of the car. Seb, one of those very, very rare occasions where you see the master getting caught out.
Congratulations, guys, you made it. Well done. Winners of Rally Sardinia. Great job. Congratulations.
Guy Lindstrom there just saying, well done. Yeah, well done indeed. An incredible moment. And you know what? The problem is, because we had 2024, because Sebastian Ogier had that in 2018 as well with Thierry, we had that, oh no, that might not happen. Everybody in Toyota just clenched up for a moment while they watched Sebastian Ogier just sort of reversing back out a bit, just thinking, oh, this could really happen again.
PK was right there, because the tree actually did stop him. I know Seb was very, very cool about it towards the end of the pass. He said, yeah, I just couldn't get it turned in, so I opted to stop and then find reverse. But for sure, the tree definitely helped him.
I don't know whether you can see the man behind you in that yellow outfit. It's like you two were born to be together. It's a floral printed outfit. Yeah. I'm going to buy you that for Greece.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll hold you to that. I expect to see that in Greece.
All right. Well, Sebastian Ogier, oh yeah, he's made it a little bit more tense than it needed to be all day, really, hasn't he?
I mean, look, I think Seb overall has had a pretty clean rally, hasn't he? But there was a mistake through the first run through the Wolf Power stage, and he got caught out, didn't he? Basically, here you go, you can see him, he's just missing the crest and then goes straight through our banner and through the bush. That was the first run through stage 14. That was then repeated again in stage 16. And so, yeah, there were a couple of little moments, but classic Sebastian Ogier, just very lucky to get away with those moments, wasn't he? Because this was stage 15. He just had this was coming over that crest, wasn't it? For me, that was the moment. That was just pure mastery, wasn't it? We often see rally cars doing that at those angles, don't we? But again, it shows just how strong the Hankook tyre is, the forces, the brutality that those dampers can take.
Just how good he is, because that could have been another driver, another person, that could have been a different story.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed what you can get these cars to do. When they land, they're so stable. The way the rebound is set, it lands and then takes a set and you go again. But for me, it was what happened on stage 14, the first run through that Wolf Power stage, Kiri. That's where he could have come really unstuck. If there'd have been a rock or a tree stump in that bush, he'd have been in big trouble. But there wasn't, and it worked out fine.
And it always does.
There you
That's
go.
the funny thing, doesn't it, Sebastian Ogier? Just the myth and the legend right there. Ott Tänak, he is an incredible driver. There is nothing else to say about Ott Tänak other than when he is on pace. It's just absolutely incredible to watch. And he almost had it. He almost had it once again. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see that win come again for them this season.
Yeah, there's a few things to say there. I mean, look, point to point, you want to get from A to B the quickest, you grab Ott Tänak and say, get me there, and he'll do that job for you. He is phenomenally quick, and he's not afraid to put everything on the line and send it down the stage. I don't think he could have done anything else with the car he had underneath him this weekend. I think the Toyota was the stronger package, ultimately.
Well, you sort of said that on Friday, didn't you? It was becoming sort of very evident that that was the case early on.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this has been a rally where the road surface has changed an awful lot. So, but I do think that the Hyundai has been dialed in throughout the weekend. I don't think it has quite been there on the pace of the Toyota. I just think the Toyota's got a slightly bigger performance window. You know, once it's in that performance window, or it's easier to get into that performance window, whereas the Hyundai has to be really tweaked. It's really fine and very sensitive to an awful lot of changes. And that was just where they dropped back a little bit. But so far as Ott Tänak goes, I think he's done a good job this weekend to finish second overall. And ultimately, Adrian Fourmeau dropped the ball. Thierry Neuville dropped the ball on Friday when he was leading the rally. So it all fell on Ott Tänak's shoulders to score some points. That's what he's done for the team this weekend. So he's been their saviour, hasn't he? But as you quite rightly pointed out, they haven't won a rally yet this year, and that's not good enough.
And it's fairly unusual, actually, isn't it, to get to this point in the season. But you never know what's going to happen in Greece. Speaking to FX, he said that, you know, we've learned a lot here. We're ready for Greece. I think they don't want to mess about anymore.
Yeah, and Greece is such a brutal test, isn't it? It's a very, very different kind of rally.
And I'm pretty sure, because of the time that we're going, it's going to be even hotter.
I think you're right. I think it will be hotter. I think it'll be harder on the drivers. It'll certainly be harder on the car's temperature regardless. It's a very, very different rally. So you're chasing reliability there, I think, more than anything else in Greece. You've got to have the pace, but you've got to have the reliability. Has Toyota had the reliability over Hyundai? You'd say yes to that question as well. So Hyundai have got a little bit to find. The pace is there. You've just, as I've been saying this weekend, you've just got to string it all together. Then the results come.
Well, we will be excited to see what happens in Greece. But Kalle Rovanperä, road position, I think he was second on the road. It led to the fact that he finished up Friday night further down the pecking order than he wanted to be. It was Saturday morning when he came out the gate. He took Sami Pajari straight away. And then we've just seen him sort of through a sequence of events, some punctures for Evans, some punctures for Sami, but through a sequence of events, he got himself to third. There was probably not much more he could do from there apart from tackle Super Sunday like he has.
I've been amazed how Kalle Rovanperä has kept himself in the fight this weekend, considering his road position, as you said on Friday. It was still very, very dirty. He didn't have much more of an advantage than or a disadvantage, should I say, than Elfyn Evans, really, because the road was just still very, very dirty. But he hung on, kept it neat and tidy, and got himself into a position where he was able to fight on Saturday. That's where Kalle turned his rally around, wasn't it? He was on Saturday. He got down to business, cracked on, and made his way up the leaderboard, and scored solid points. As did Elfyn Evans. The difference is Elfyn wasn't able to match Kalle on time. Yes, they finished third and fourth respectively, but Elfyn was still a long way back in time. They were focusing on two different things, weren't they? Elfyn was getting to the rally. Kalle was let's go after championship points.
I think that's important as well, because I don't want a huge amount of emphasis to be put on the fact that, you know, Elfyn was driving a different game. He had a 30-point lead. He's talking championship all the way, and he's got the advantage, so he can play a different hand to Kalle. Kalle's at a different disadvantage, so he has now just to battle. Yeah,
100%. Like you said, they're driving two different events, if you like. Elfyn Evans was able to go, look, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy in fourth. I don't need to go chasing these guys. And because the time difference was so big, he knew in himself that he'd have to go absolutely flat out to try and catch him. Yeah. And you're gonna on a rally like this, you're gonna go off the road. So he drove smart. Kalle took the risks on Saturday, and did they pay off? Well, listen, he finished third and Elfyn finished fourth, so some would say no, but what Kalle did today has made the difference.
Yeah, I mean, as Julian Porter said to him, his power stage performances are something else. And I suppose if you're going to master something, master the thing that gives you the most amount of points.
Yeah, absolutely, but there's mastery and there's complete domination. And what we saw from Kalle through such a difficult stage was just mind-blowing. The way he was able to carry speed and carry the momentum without scrubbing speed off was just spectacular Kalirov and Pera. I'm blown away by that power stage.
Yeah, okay, well, reflection is the name of the game, so let's take ourselves all the way back to Friday. It was a different sort of setup, this rally. We went first stage Friday morning. It definitely wasn't what M Sport were expecting, so to start with, it unfolded for Greg Munster rather quickly.
Yeah, that's Gregoire Munster pulling the rear right corner off his M Sport Puma. We joined it in the live coverage and we could see that the car was crabbing enormously. This is Josh McAleen just a minute or so later. Watched through this fast right hand, was offline. Bang! That was a big knock. Actually snapped the rear subframe completely. The rear wheel came off it entirely. And this one I'll just shut up for because it tells its own story. Massive accident for Martin Sesks, and that car was too far gone to be able to repair.
And didn't even make it to the point of Josh or Greg. This happened so much earlier on these stages, that this second stage on Friday morning just unravelled for lots of people. Now we go on board with Hyundai.
Yeah, the same stage, but in the afternoon, and that's Thierry Neuville currently leading the rally at this point, ripping the rear left wheel off that Hyundai. That's where it all fell apart for him. This stage, as I said, it was run in the morning, it caught out all the M Sport cars. In the afternoon, it caught out Thierry Neuville. The rally could have been very, very different if that hadn't happened. This is Tänak on the same stage, getting it wrong as well, just tipping it in, and there's a big rock on the inside there, just turns the car over, and fortunately there were some fans there to push him back over and get him going again, but that was a silly mistake from Tänak that was actually made by Jordan Serdarides in the same place as well.
Let's not forget that then Jordan Serdarides did the same thing. I think his roll actually got him a bit sort of further because he ended up propped up against the tree, but nonetheless it was the same thing. That stage was brutal. I think, you know, we look back to Kenya and that Camp Moran stage. I think that will be in our history books. That stage has gone down with Camp Moran as one we're not going to forget for 25.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's cost the teams a few quid, hasn't it? There's been an awful lot of damage gone on in that stage, hasn't there, Kiri? And yeah, for sure, Takamoto Katsuta making that error, and then Jordan Serdarides sticking on its roof. Like you said, it actually ended up against the tree, so the fans had to roll it back onto its roof and over again before Jordan could continue on down the road. But yeah, look, as far as we're concerned, brilliant stage. I thought the action was fantastic, and what it teaches us straight away, experience counts. All the experienced drivers, with the exception of Thierry Neuville, got through that stage quickly and cleanly. Those that didn't have the experience, they're the ones that got caught out.
And funnily enough, it was what Mickey Biazion was saying, who joined us on Friday, I think it was now, and he was saying, well, the Sardinia organisers wanted to make it tougher. Well, they did that, didn't they?
Nailed it.
Nailed it in one stage there. Okay, well, that was Friday and the drama that unfolded, but don't be silly if you think it stopped there. Saturday, we woke up bright and early for more drama.
Yeah, straight out of the box again. Lots of drama to talk about on Saturday morning. We saw a few punctures come our way on Saturday, didn't we? And I think on the whole, that the Hankook tyre has been very, very good, hasn't it? But thanks,
Rich,
mate.
don't encourage him, please.
Yeah, I think on the whole, yeah, the Hankook tyre has been very, very good. But Takamoto Katsuta, we saw him picking up here. In fact, here you go. We can see the pictures there. That's Taka picking up a puncture himself and Aaron get out.
And it took a little minute, didn't it, for them to get sort of back in place with that?
Yeah, and it was sort of a bit of a double whammy, really, because they came out and then created a load of dust for their own teammate. But that front right tyre needed changing by their own admission, hit something, and you don't get just a random puncture with these Hankooks. You have to give something a good clout. They are so strong, and so many of the drivers who did pick up a puncture this weekend have admitted, I hit a rock, something. Or I hit a bit of bedrock, or I hit this or hit that, which is part of rallying. You know, when you
can't
go through
avoid it at some point.
You go through the rally at the recce at road speed, and then you go through it at rallying speed. You know, and the surface of the road has changed since you did the recce. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a wild and bumpy ride. Then we had Sami Pajari, Elvin Evans with their punctures. I think it was Elvin did change in 1 minute 50, Sami in 1 minute 58. They were flying changes there. Yep. Nothing too much for Calais. It was just a light pod that fell off. But we'll include it in the drama just for the sake of it. Yeah,
I mean, Elvin Evans, obviously, it was bizarre in the commentary. Elvin Evans obviously picked up his puncture. That's Adrian Formeau's car on its roof in the afternoon, and that was a silly mistake. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Elvin Evans we're on board with now. This is him who's picked up a puncture. He's got out incredibly quickly, and as you said, it was 1 minute and 50 seconds in the searing heat to to get that tyre changed, to get that wheel
You and me,
yeah, all right, mate. And could get that tyre changed. But this was how fate, I don't know, fell in Elvin's favour.
Yeah.
He had an angel on his wing, didn't he? Because just a few kilometres up the road, Sami Pajari, who he was chasing for the overall, then picked up a puncture, and Elvin jumped ahead of Sami in the standings.
And this is Ott Tänak. What I liked was that we constantly had an onboard of another car going past another car that was a problem. Yeah, and we did just have this mild moment with Kalle. I mean, absolutely nothing really in the grand scheme of things, but he didn't go through trouble-free at least.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's not much of a concern for Jonny, is it? There's a little map light that they have, because if you end up in the dark, you can just pull the light down so you can light up the book. That's what that was, and it just dropped down a little bit on Jonny. But trust me, he's been in more difficult situations than that in the past, hasn't he? So
Very definitely.
yeah, look, it wasn't a big deal for him.
Okay, well, let's remind you of where everybody stands. What is the positions of everybody as we finish up here in Rally Italia Sardinia. So once again, Sebastian Ogier takes the victory. It was at 17.2 after the power stage. It went down to 7.9, but plenty enough to take the victory. Ott Tänak, Kalle Rothenpera take those podium spots. Elvin Evans just outside, but still gives him a 19-point buffer in that championship standings, and Taka as well in 5th. Then it's just broken up by the WRC2s. Remember, Oliver Solberg's not scoring points in the WRC2, but he does actually get points in the overall category, so not bad. And I think once again this season we'll see Oliver sort of on that table at some point. This is how it all fared up. So because of that trouble in the power stage, then Seb lost the Sunday lead, so those points are for Super Sunday just on the right of the main points, so 3, 4, 5 and 2. And then you can see the overall points that they accumulated throughout the weekend, inclusive of the Wolf power stage points. Kalle Rothenpera, of course, taking the full 5 there. And just a quick reminder that it leaves Elvin Evans 19 points ahead of Sebastian Ogier. Sebastian Ogier scoots ahead of Kalle Rothenpera by just 1 point. And then the Hyundais follow suit. At the moment, the manufacturers is in the hands of Toyota. Let's just give you the points so you can see, but it is 312 points to 243 points. Then M Sport with the 87 points there. So that's how that shapes up as we move into Greece. It will be interesting. I don't believe it for a second, but it is still worth the story that Sebastian Ogier will tackle a full season. It would. I don't believe it, but you never know. He's currently sitting in second in the championship.
Love it to have. Look, I mean, the man's second overall in the championship.
Well, you know where the decision was made last year? Do you remember?
No.
Greece.
There you go. And look, I think if Seb has a good Greece, there's no reason why he can't do. He knows how to win rallies from difficult road positions, and Greece is a bit different from this as well. It's more rocky than dusty. Look. Oh, I'd love to see Sebastian Ogier stick around. Let's go all the way, fella. Why not?
Why not? Do you know, because actually, since he has gone to this part-time season, he started breaking history. So many records, time after time, different rallies. He started making that history. So you never know. He might start getting interested in the facts of, the history books.
You're changing your mind.
No, I don't believe it, because I don't believe it. But you never know. You never know. All right, what happened in WRC2? Because there was just so much going on there as well, isn't there? So let's just go on board with Dapra. We'll just have a look at this. This is how it all shaped up for him to finish up in the lead.
So I ran out of the commentary box and ran straight down here. I don't know what's happened in WRC2, so you're going to have to tell me.
That is the man that won after all that.
Brilliant, that's amazing. Listen, Kaito Kaitanovic is an absolute hero, but yeah, I'm getting the producer in my ear telling me that Dapra's won it. That's amazing. So this young man, he's jumped a couple of levels in jumped basically straight up into a WRC2 car from a Rally 4 car. Incredible stuff, and he's here at home. This is not just his first podium in the WRC2, but his first victory, and he's doing it at home, and that is very, very special for that young man, and I'm genuinely very, very happy. Kaito's been there. That's brilliant from Roberto.
Amazing.
Well done.
All right, well, Julian Porter, of course, capturing the very moment that he found out he took the victory. Let's listen in.
Roberto, we stood on the start ramp on Thursday, and I said, what about a WRC podium? You've just gone and won WRC2 at home. How do you feel?
I don't know how to say, just
how long left?
Thank you so much to all the people that believes in me from the beginning, and we spun and we made reverse at the start of the stage, and then I pushed like like hell. I never drive so fast, and yeah, some risk, but it's part of the game. And thanks so much to all the people that is helping me, AC Team Italia, Pintarelli, my father, Luca, Hankook. There is, I hope not to forget anyone, and yeah, Delta Rally that gives me an incredible strong car, and yeah, now I want to do the podium.
I bet you want to do the podium, spray that champagne. Now this is where it all ended up. Drama so later on for Emil Lindholm, but it is Roberto Dapra, Kaito Kotanovic and Martin Prokop that are your top three there. I should say at this point, of course, you saw the incident earlier on with Emil Lindholm. That means that he is not on that board, but it does mean, however, that he was on course for a victory, and he gets at least the Forum 8 award for most stage wins. Johan Russell still leads over Oliver Solberg. Oliver, of course, not scoring points here. Then it's Roberta Dapra that jumps all the way up into third. Gus Greensmith, of course, not here this weekend. So we will see that change, because remember, drivers are in between different rounds, and we'll see the points accumulate at different points. But it is Johan Russell's at the moment, and still to lose. Now, Emil Lindholm, there was plenty of places where Emil Lindholm wasn't on course to win, but then he was on course to win, and just that incredibly unfortunate moment, the stage before power stage.
Yeah, I mean, Emil was pretty much dominating from sort of midway point, really, on well, certainly Friday evening. Yeah. All through Saturday. Johan Russell made it easy for him when he broke the steering arm, and this is Emil on stage 14, the first run through what would be the power stage, throwing it off the road, and it is just, this is going to haunt him for a long time. Just came over a blind crest, down a hill into a fast right, and couldn't get the car stopped. He just carried way too much speed into it, and that's going to haunt him, and I'm gutted for him, because he deserved to have a good weekend this weekend. He'd done every single thing right until that point, and I'm gutted for him, and that's going to haunt him.
Listen, we've talked so much that I don't think we're even going to have time to show you a promo for Greece, but Greece is on the way for you in just a couple of weeks. If you enjoyed this, trust me, Greece is going to be even more rocky, bumpy and exhilarating, so make sure you tune in for that. Chenny, what a weekend.
Unbelievable. I've loved every single second of it. This is one of my favourite rallies, because it's so tight, twisty, technical. It always gives a brilliant story, and it's done it again. Thank you.
I promise I'll get him a new wardrobe by the time we get back here in Greece. Thank you so much for watching. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you this weekend. Goodbye from myself, Chenny, and the rest of the team.